I once had a nightmare about my mother being forced to leave home because of war. She was smiling sadly at me and holding her hands up behind her head, fingers together like a bunny's ears. That was a game we used to play when I was little. I was the bunny, and my mother was the mother rabbit. And in that dream, my mother wiggled her fingers as if the rabbit was twitching its ears. She widened her smile, and there were tears on her cheeks. As her figures started to fade away, I started crying too. The next morning, I woke up with a wet face and a dampened pillow. I could never imagine my mother going away from me, and I wonder if a mother could ever imagine her daughter leaving her side. Rapunzel by Anne Sexton. A woman who loves a woman is forever young. The mentor and the student feed off each other. Many a girl had an old aunt who locked her in the study to keep the boys away. They would play rummy or lie on the couch and touch, old breast against young breast. Let your dress fall down your shoulder. Come touch a copy of you. For I am the mercy of rain. For I have left the 3 Christs of Ypsilanti. For I have left the long naps of Ann Arbor, and the church spires have turned to stumps. The sea bangs into my cloister, for the young politicians are dying, so hold me, my young dear, hold me. The yellow rose will turn to cinder, and New York City will fall in before we are done, so hold me, my young dear, hold me. Put your pale arms around my neck. Let me hold your heart like a flower, lest it blossom and collapse. Give me your skin as sheer as cobweb. Let me open it up and listen in and scoop out the dark. Give me your nether lips, all puffy with their art, and I will give you angel fire in return. We are 2 clouds, glistening in the bottle glass. We are 2 birds, washing in the same mirror. We were fair game, but we kept out of the cesspool. We are strong. We are the good ones. Do not discover us, for we lie together all in green like pond weeds. Hold me, my young dear, hold me. They told their delicate watches, 1 at a time. They dance to the lute, 2 at a time. They are as tender as bog moss. They play Mother Me Do all day. A woman who loves a woman is forever young. Immediately, I was struck by the first line of the poem. A woman who loves a woman is forever young. What does that mean? Knowing the title of the poem, I could easily associate these words with Mother Gothel loving Rapunzel. Mother Gothel is a witch, so it is reasonable that she stays young. In a 2010 Disney movie, Tangled, Mother Gothel is able to stay young because of the magic in Rapunzel's hair, but the poem is written long before the movie is released. The word choice is also quite peculiar. Woman is used twice in this line to perhaps refer to Mother Gothel and Rapunzel, but if Sexton is referring to mother-daughter love, why didn't she just write a woman who loves a girl or a woman who loves a child? With Rapunzel being deliberately called a woman, it seems that there is a sexual feature in the 2 characters' relationship, implying that Mother Gothel's feelings to Rapunzel isn't just normal motherly love, but something dark and twisted. During Sexton's teenage years, she received sexual abuse from her great-aunt who suffered from mental illness, and Sexton weaves her real-life experiences into the poetry. Many a girl had an old aunt who locked her in the study to keep the boys away. In the original story of Rapunzel, the girl was locked away by her father because he feared that her beauty would cause her harm from men. So this might also be an allusion to the original Rapunzel. The abnormal relationship between relatives and inside a family makes me think of my own fear of confronting drunk people. It might sound silly, but I get scared when people get drunk, even if that person is my own father. When I was about 9 years old, my father came home one night, terribly drunk for work purposes. It was around midnight, and I was asleep in my bed when I was woken up by a hoarse, slurred voice. "Go to bed." My father had come into my room and proceeded to try to tuck me in bed when I was already asleep. Although he had good intentions, his actions terrified me because I was startled up from my sleep by someone who looked just like my father but behaved nothing like him. That night in my mind, he was a stranger, possibly a madman. I never told my father about this because I know he loves me and he would be sad. Yet I wonder what Rapunzel might have felt when Mother Gothel said, "Let your dress fall down your shoulder," or when she pressed her breast against Rapunzel's own. It must have been traumatizing. Once there was a witch's garden, more beautiful than Eve's, with carrots growing like little fish, with many tomatoes rich as frogs, onions as ingrown as hearts, the squash singing like a dolphin, and one patch given over wholly to magic, rampion, a kind of salad root, a kind of harebell more potent than penicillin, growing leaf by leaf, skin by skin, as rapt and as fluid as Isadora Duncan. However, the witch's garden was kept locked, and each day a woman who was with a child looked upon the rampion widely, fancying that she would die if she could not have it. Her husband feared for her welfare, and thus climbed into the garden to fetch the life-giving tubers. "Aha!" cried the witch, whose proper name was Mother Gothel. "You are a thief, and now you will die." However, they made a trade, typical enough in those times. He promised his child to Mother Gothel, so of course, when it was born, she took the child away with her. She gave the child the name Rapunzel, another name for the life-giving rampion. Because Rapunzel was a beautiful girl, Mother Gothel treasured her beyond all things. As she grew older, Mother Gothel thought, "None but I will ever see her or touch her." She locked her in a tower without a door or a staircase. It had only a high window. When the witch wanted to enter, she cried, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel's hair fell to the ground like a rainbow. It was a yellow dandelion, and as strong as a dog leash. Hand over hand, she shinnied up, the hair like a sailor, and there in the stone-cold room, as cold as a museum, Mother Gothel cried, "Hold me, my young dear, hold me." And thus they played Mother Me Do. And so the story goes as we all know it. The prince discovers the beautiful Rapunzel and visits her in the tower every day. Eventually, Mother Gothel finds out about the prince. She cuts Rapunzel's hair to her ears before sending her into the forest. Then she sends the prince falling down the tower, blinded by the thorns. When the prince finds Rapunzel by listening to her voice, Rapunzel's tears fall into his eyes and heal his sight. There are a couple more allusions in the story. The harebell is as rapt and fluid as Isadora Duncan, who was an American dancer and choreographer and a pioneer of modern contemporary art. And the prince is as blind as Oedipus, a Greek mythical hero. Sexton playfully describes Rapunzel's observations of the first man she has ever seen in her life. She wrote, "What is this beast?" she thought, "with muscles on his arms like a bag of snakes? What is this moss on his legs? What prickly plant grows on his cheeks? What is this voice as deep as dog?" I cannot recall the first time I recognized the masculine features of men, But Rapunzel's almost inspecting the appearance of the prince and asking such silly questions make her seem like a little child. Perhaps her innocence and immaturity is what Mother Gothel treasures the most, and also the reason why she keeps her trapped in the tower. Mother Gothel would not want the impurities of the outside world to pollute Rapunzel's pure soul. They lived happily, as you might expect, proving the Mother Me Do can be outgrown, just as a fish on Friday, just as a tricycle. The world, some say, is made up of couples. A rose must have a stem. As for Mother Gothel, her heart shrank to the size of a pin, never again to say, "Hold me, my young dear, hold me." And only as she dreamed of yellow hair did moonlight sift into her mouth.